Hello and welcome to Channel's Book Club. I am Olakunle Kasumo. Money is that one subject we are all interested in. I mean, who doesn't care about or need money? But having a lot of money or being rich is not the same thing as being wealthy. According to this book titled The Formula for Wealth, which explains that what you do with your money today is what will determine if you get wealthy tomorrow. The book is a manual for anyone interested in understanding the subject of wealth, entrepreneurship, and how to get rid of poverty. I have been enjoying my own copy, which I bought and downloaded on my Kindle, and it's really been exciting reading it. The book was written by Femi Pedro, a man who overcame extreme poverty to become a successful banker, economist, entrepreneur, and investor. He also ventured into politics and rose to become the deputy governor of Lagos State. The formula for wealth is packed with a lot of his experiences in his life journey. He joined us to discuss his story, his book, and the subject of wealth. Enjoy this. Mr. Femi Pedro, nice to have you on Channel's Book Club.
It's my pleasure to be here.
Great to have you here.
My pleasure.
This is your first book.
Yes.
The Formula for Wealth.
Yeah.
What was the experience like writing your first book, and particularly writing a book about wealth?
I've done so many great things in my lifetime. I thank God for it. But this is the most rewarding experience. Very enthralling, very exciting, challenging. But at the end of the day, when you see the products, it's like having a brand new baby, a newly born baby, and you're looking at the tiny thing, and you're looking at God and say, oh, wow. You know, so the book is like a baby for me. I nurture it. I wrote it on my own, and in my own language, I poured my heart out.
Wow. Now, let's talk a bit about your experience with poverty. That's one of my favorite parts of your book,
okay.
Coincidentally. You had a very tough, difficult upbringing in terms of poverty and lack and all that. And telling that part of your story in the book, I think it made the book come alive for me. And I'm sure a lot of readers also find it.
Yeah, I'm sure many people can relate with this. I was raised by two women. My two grandmothers, my maternal and my paternal grandmothers. But I lived the early part of my life with my paternal grandmother. She was very poor as you could imagine. Both of us were staying in the passageway of a family house. What we had was a bed without mattress, a mat for me, a cupboard with a stove and some cutleries, and on top of the bed was our wardrobe. And that was how we lived. And we lived on only meager stipend she was receiving from my dad and his brothers. And though we were eking out a living, but we were in the midst of family members. So I didn't feel poor. It was only looking back now, I realized that, wow, how did I go through this period? You know, and luckily, thanks to Shifova Femi Awolowo, that was the time of free primary education. So we went to school mechanically, and when we come back from school, we play like any other young boy. And in that compound, I just reflected back, I was very lucky. You can call it destiny, you can call it luck. I was only the second person in that compound who will attend a secondary school. And it's in this Lagos Island. The rest of the children, once they finish primary school, they put you into a trade, carpentry, plumbing, you know, and after training, you get a job with a Nigerian Port Authority or PWD, Public Works Department in those days. And, you know, I was lucky. I was able to get admission, and my maternal grandmother decided to foot the bill with my dad. And that was how I was thrown into a boarding school. Even in boarding school, I experienced poverty. Immediately I got there, I realized that the children of the rich were more favored. The seniors would extend favors to them. They would care for them, they would love them. Those of us who had nothing to offer, we were made to do many jobs, run errands, you know, and so you will notice the difference. Because when I go home on weekends or outing day, I come back with nothing in my pocket. Whereas my other roommates will come with provisions, big sugar, and the seniors were always excited when they see them. So I share that experience in the book. Okay. And it was in that process, the first time I was in secondary school, and I realized it was clear to me. I was like 14, 15 years old. And I approached my housemaster. And I said, why is it that some people have money and some have to struggle? And they said, that's why you are here. Face your studies. Study hard. Pass your WAEC very well. Get admission to university. And the rest will take care of itself. Even though he was wrong, but he was partially right.
Yeah, he made a point.
He made it, you know, and from that day onward, I just focused my mind on getting out of this poverty circle. And from there, I gained admission to the university and, you know, everything. And I got admission to university. I had to do very well. I had to do my A-levels. And I was lucky the Lagos State government gave me scholarship. You know, little did I know at that time that the state that offered me scholarship, I would come back to serve it as deputy governor.
Deputy governor.
You know,
amazing story. Okay, so for viewers out there who are not familiar with the book, let's explore it a bit. The formula for wealth, what is it about?
Yeah, what I chronicled, and over the years, I realized that it's not really difficult to get out of poverty if you have knowledge. And a lot of people lack that knowledge. It's like being dumped inside a well, blindfolded, and you are struggling to come out. You can't even see your way out. And there's nobody who's going to lend you a helping hand. You will feel hopeless, frustrated, and your mindset will be conditioned that you can never get out of this. That's how people who are poor feel. They just don't know what to do. They are confused until they see somebody who can pull them out. So that factor that can pull them out is the knowledge that I shared in that book. It's not a book that says, it's not that if you read my book, you will become instantly wealthy. But the book shows you a roadmap. If you can discipline yourself to follow that roadmap, you can change your status. And if you are young, you are in your early 20s or early 30s, you have a very good opportunity because time is on your side. You can take advantage of the elements of that book and live it, practice it, and change your mindset. You can make a difference in your life.
You said a lot of wrote a lot of thought-provoking things here. One of the ones that caught my attention is your attempt at describing the difference between having money and being wealthy. You can have a lot of money and not be wealthy. And having a lot of money does not mean you will become wealthy, except for the factor you just mentioned now, having the appropriate knowledge. Can you explain that a bit?
A very prominent writer said it that it's not enough to have money. You must know how to keep it. You must know how to make it work for you. And you must know how to make it last several generations. It is that keeping it and making it working for you, that is the wealth side of money. Money itself is just liquid. It can evaporate. It can disappear. It will disappear. As you are now, if I give you 10 million naira, you'll be happy, you'll be excited. But a year down the line, if you don't have the knowledge of wealth creation, the money is gone.
Gone.
Easily. That is why people win lottery, politicians who steal money, entertainers who make money, sportsmen. That's why they don't sustain their wealth, because they lack the knowledge. And they lack the knowledge and they don't seek help. So that is money for you. It has something to do with riches. You can have it today, it disappears tomorrow. Wealth is solid. It's everlasting. It can last generation. It works for you. You don't work for it. And I can differentiate the two.
Please go ahead.
Yes, money is cash. Put it in a bank. You put it under your mattress. You keep it in your house. You carry it in a briefcase all over the place. You keep it with somebody. That is money.
It will be spent.
Yes, but wealth is a product of what I call wealth instruments. Accountants call it financial assets. These instruments are what creates wealth because they are tradable, they are solid. One is a real estate. Real estate is solid, it's tradable, it lasts long, you cannot move it, you cannot steal it, you cannot hide it. And as it's standing down there, it's generating income. The income it generates for you, the rental income, that is your wealth. Investments in your own company, that is a wealth instrument. If you have a company, you are running a business, and you put all your savings in that company as your equity, that is your wealth. The profit you generate from that business, I mean, that is your wealth instrument. The profit you generate from that business, that is your wealth. And if you have a business and you ask me to invest in it, I invest in it, that equity I bought in your company is the wealth instrument. The dividend you pay me, that is the wealth. If I put money in a savings account or in a deposit account, that is the wealth instrument. The interest I earn from it, that is, so is the income. So that is what separates money from wealth. Because that income is not just coming from any, it's coming from an instrument that is sitting, and so it's working for you. You know, they said the greatest invention is compound interest.
Compound interest.
You are sleeping 24 hours and your money is working. You are not even thinking about it. It's growing, it's multiplying, you know. And at the end of the month or a quarter, somebody calls you and says, your dividend is ready. And you go and come and collect your check.
You explained in this book that the difference between somebody who is wealthy or who will become wealthy and somebody who will suffer lack is what he or she does with the money that comes in.
Yes.
No matter how big or small the money is.
Yes.
And you said some things.
Let me expatiate on that. There are a lot of people in our society who are educated, well, very talented, they have degrees, they even have good jobs, employed in a very good establishment, and they are getting promoted every two years, every three years. They even change their vehicles, they have children and wife, they live in a nice neighborhood, but they are in poverty. Because they have not been able to acquire any wealth instruments. All they rely on in their life is that salary coming from their employers. And the day the employer kicks them out, they become confused. They don't know their way forward anymore. That is being in poverty trap. Because all the while, if you're a professional or you are working in an establishment, you know, you don't just relax and think that it will last forever. Nothing lasts forever. The only thing that can sustain you is what you erect on the ground. What you are able to use, whatever you are earning today, what you are able to use it to do so that it can work for you.
What you call the wealth instruments.
The wealth instruments. So everybody should have them. But you see, you don't just wake up one day and say you want to start investing in wealth instruments. That's what I put in there. But the first thing you need is your mindset. Self-education,
you said?
No. First thing is your mindset.
Is that not what self-education does?
No, self-education is after you have the mindset.
Oh.
You now want to improve yourself.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Okay.
You now want to improve yourself. You know, Robert Stanley said, I quote him now, say, if you want to be a millionaire, you think like one. You must learn to motivate yourself to conquer fear with courage.